140 million volumes sold, watched in 78 countries, a character who became the icon of a generation and then committed genocide. A story that split its fandom like the walls of Paradi between those who think the ending is genius and those who are still furious. But the person who created all of this is a quiet, awkward guy from a tiny mountain village who got pinned to the ground as a kid, who walked into 5 publishing houses at 19 and 4 told him his art was weak. Today we are talking about Hajime Isayama the person, because understanding the person means understanding what he made. Isayama was born in 1986 in a small mountain village in Oita Prefecture. His family grew plums. His father was against him becoming a manga artist, so he grew in secret. Oyama is mountains on every side, isolation, nothing connecting to the wider world. I lived surrounded by mountains and thought the whole world was inside those mountains. He wanted out, not romantically, in the sense of escape. In high school, his anxiety got worse. In art class, he realized his classmates had surpassed him in the one thing he thought he was at least decent at. That hit hard. Every autumn, kids competed in sumo at the local shrine. Little Hajime weighed 22 pounds less than his peers. He lost again and again. I recognized I was inferior. I admired the strong. He was developing an inferiority complex, a word he'd used throughout his career as an accurate diagnosis of himself. In a 2014 interview with Brutus magazine, he said, "Reality was painful. If there's a character to my work, it's a kind of endless adolescence." He didn't grow out of it. He built it into the work. And that's exactly why Attack on Titan hits so precisely. In that same Brutus interview, when asked whenever he could live alone without people, he answered without hesitation, "I could probably live the life of a hermit as long as my living environment stays intact." That's a literal description of his working conditions. When I'm writing storyboards, I mutter to myself to concentrate. No conferences, no social media, just a personal blog titled "A History of Shame Still in Progress." And yet he obsessively reads fan reactions and criticism online. He'd said he sometimes changed things in the story based on fan discussions online. A fascinating combination. A man who avoids people but constantly listens to what they say. "I feel guilty about the reception my manga gets. I think luck is half of success," he said. At a fan signing, he drew characters and then posted lengthy apologies on his blog for the poor quality. His attempt at Eren was so bad he didn't offer it at all. The creator of one of the most successful manga series in history, who can draw his own protagonist without getting depressed about it. He is a massive fan of Momohiro Clover Z. He even drew 2 titans in the manga based on the sketch by member Shiori Tamai, the yellow one, from the TV show Momoclo-chan. The result? The hilarious Titan that fans still spot and meme about. In December 2018, he published his usual end-of-year blog post about favorite movies, and almost at the footnote, added, "By the way, if I can take a moment to talk about myself. This year I got married." His wife's name was never revealed. One sentence between Bohemian Rhapsody and Godzilla. That's Isayama in a nutshell. In 2018, documentary channel MBS filmed him for Jounetsu Tairiku. What they captured wasn't a creative genius at work. It was a person for whom this is genuinely hard. The storyboard stage was the most agonizing part. Filmmakers watched him stare at nothing for half an hour before simply yawning. "My worries about the storyboard keep me from sleeping. When I get hungry, I can't draw. When I eat, I get sleepy and still can't draw." He was shown lying on a sofa in a dazed state. The director noted he saw Isayama smile once over the entire shoot, playing Splatoon, walking at 4 p.m., working through the night. He kept every rough draft, never threw one out. "They feel like sheets of paper that went through incredible hardship alongside me. Maybe I'll have them put in my coffin, though they might not fit." When asked if there was something he wanted to draw after Attack on Titan, he paused, then said, "Yeah, but I might not be able to. It's probably more likely that I won't." The walls of Paradi are the mountains. A prison people built to feel safe. Eren stands at the wall and looks outward. That's Isayama at 18. The Titans, 2 sources. First, Jurassic Park, being eaten by something enormous and mindless. Second, a chapter in Hell Teacher Nube. The monster eats someone with human teeth, not fangs. That disturbed him as a child. Human teeth are scarier than fangs. The real blueprint, working night shifts at a Tokyo internet cafe. Drunk customers would come in late. He was afraid of them, not because they threatened him, but something more irrational. Empty-eyed people who had lost something human, That uncomfortable feeling became a major influence on the story. What makes Attack on Titan unlike most shonen manga is that it refuses to give you a moral compass. The Marlians oppressed the Eldians, but the Eldians destroyed nations themselves. The Cereicors are heroes who do terrible things. Nobody's right. Nobody is entirely guilty. That's rare for the genre. At 90, Isayama came to Tokyo with an early prototype of Attack on Titan. 5 publishers, 4 said, weak art. The last, Kodansha, said, there's a power in the drawings. First words of professional recognition. He didn't believe them. The prototype won an honorable mention at the MGP contest in 2006. When the editor called him with the news, Isayama just said, then immediately packed up and moved to Tokyo. He called the editor, I'm already here. The editor was stunned. He became an assistant to a manga artist and discovered his help was creating extra work. That's when he understood art is as fundamental as story. His editor made him copy manga page by page. Hajime no Ippo, Kimi no Yurumachi. He says he still feels the influence. In 2008, a special award for Heartbreak won when entering into a contest with ORZ, then a debut in magazine special. A notable detail, the manuscript for ORZ was described as having the worst art in the award's history. 2009, at 23, the first chapter of Shingeki no Kyojin, his debut, his first and only manga series. Every character is either a piece of Isayama or something he witnessed firsthand. Eren is the worst part of Isayama. He said that directly. The anger at the world, the feeling no one understands you. When asked at the Hita exhibition in 2025 why Eren commits genocide, he answers honestly. A large factor was also my own immaturity and foolishness at the time, when I was in my early 20s. That aspect became the core of Eren's character. Mikasa, the first character he ever created. A girl came into the cafe late one night with a scarf over her face. I thought it looked endearing. I immediately started sketching. Named after the Japanese battleship Mikasa. Eren and Mikasa were actually the hardest for him to draw consistently. Straight lines came out differently every time. Never solved it in 12 years. Levi, pure accident, became the most beloved character. I was idly doodling and knew I had something. When I saw Watchmen, Rorschach stuck with me. I combined him with that doodle. Rorschach, short, antisocial, fanatically loyal. Levi, same, but Rorschach lives in chaos and filth. Levi has a pathological obsession with cleanliness. If Levi were 180 centimeters, he wouldn't be cool. That he's this cocky little man is what makes it work. At signings, Levi drawn 70 out of 100 times. Easiest to draw, most requested. Gabi and Falco. This one not many people know. Gabi was based on Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. Falco on Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. When Attack on Titan became a phenomenon, how did Isayama handle it? Honestly, not well. Ever since I won that first prize at 19, it felt like reality has been growing distant. Fame is people, expectations, everything he'd been avoiding. As a teenager, he sometimes hoped all of humanity would be destroyed. That found its way into Attack on Titan. When the manga ended in 2021 and backlash erupted, he didn't defend himself. Before Anime NYC, he released a statement. He was anxious, wanted honest opinions, asked people to treat each other with respect. A man who fears crowds, standing before a room full of people angry at his ending. And then, in April 2025, at an exhibition in Hita, he wrote, "In the end, without fully committing to portraying him as a detestable figure, I found myself depicting Eren with a certain closeness and sympathy. As a result, I feel there remains a sense of insincerity in the story's conclusion, at least in my own assessment. 4 years after the ending, he's still thinking about it." Isayama is not a typical success story. He is the story of a person who didn't believe in himself and created something great out of exactly that. The complex became language. The fear of people became the titans. The need to escape became the walls of Paradis. The anger became Eren. Yeah, Isayama never really believed in himself, but he never stopped. And that's what I like about him the most. And also, his art. When I first read Attack on Titan, it was his drawings that hooked me the hardest. That unique and perfect, unpolished style. It doesn't feel mass-produced or overly cleaned up. It feels personal. I even copied some panels from the manga because I love them so much. In 2023, he received a special award at the Angoulême International Comics Festival, the Cannes of Comics. In his hometown of Hita, there are bronze statues of young Eren, Mikasa and Armin at the mountain dam. In the place he once wanted to escape from at any cost, there's now a monument to what he built while running away. That might be the most beautiful thing about this story. That's all for now. Bye bye.